Last episode, on Mega Man X2, we went into an abandoned factory to clear out what we thought would be the last of Sigma's followers, but it turns out there are 3 shadowy figures in poorly lit rooms that are stirring stuff up, so we gotta take care of them, too. Joining me today is Skyzo. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Hello, everyone.
Okay, so now we're going to get into some really interesting mechanics this episode. First of all, let's check out the Buster for comparison now. Like I said, the numbers are 3, 5, and 8 for the different levels of your Buster. I'm showing that for demonstration's sake because I'm gonna then show off this weapon, the strike chain, and it doesn't look very strong, right? It's about equivalent to a level 2 shot.
Right.
But if we take on those enemies, suddenly it's a one-shot. It's doing way more than 5 damage. In fact, the actual damage number is 20. There are some enemies that take 5 from it, and others that take 20. Do you know why that is, Skyzo?
Well, I'm guessing it's either an obscure mechanic or it's buggy.
It's part of the weakness weapon system, and first of all, the arm buster is up this passage. You can get it without the strike chain, but it's really hard. It's like a 2-frame window, I think. But with the strike chain, this pulls you toward whatever you latch onto, so that makes that significantly easier. But yeah, this game, basically, all the regular enemies are weak to one of 3 families of weapons. They're weak to what I call the utility weapons, which would be the strike chain or crystal hunter. They're weak to what I call the elemental weapons, which would be speed burner, sonic slicer, and bubble splash. And then they're weak to what I call the industrial weapons, magnet mine, silk shot, and spin wheel. The industrial weapons are actually the best ones in the game, because the enemies weak to those tend to be the really bulky ones. And it's obscene just how much of a boost they get. It's like hitting a Gyarados with a Thunderbolt, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And yeah, it's painful when that happens. For the Gyarados, anyway.
Indeed. So, another interesting mechanic, that dash punch actually goes faster than the dash speed, but if I only do the dash punch over that ledge, it stops right at the middle. So I want to wind up a dash punch, then dash, and then release the dash punch. And the right armor actually goes way faster through the air than it would otherwise. Not too important now, but will be important in Crystal Snail's stage. And by the way, make sure you use your invincibility frames to get that heart tank. I think the intended way is to get it via a charged speed burner or an air dash. That's with a special weapon or an upgrade, but I choose to get it that way. It's faster that way.
Sounds good.
Indeed. And there's yet another somewhat interesting thing up here. First of all, an extra life, and also a weird-looking door. You see that door?
Yeah, so I imagine that's the boss door.
Nope. It's not the boss door, or at least right now it isn't. Something special is gonna happen once you beat up 2 Maverick bosses, and that could be relevant if Wheel Gator's your 3rd stage or later, but for now, don't worry about it. Instead, worry about this guy with 40 HP. Now here's how strong the Neon shot is. We got our base level 3 shot, which does 8, and the Neon, which does 30. It's composed of 3 particles, a big thing in the middle, and 2 smaller things on the upper and lower sides. Each one of those do 10 damage. It is obscene just how strong it is.
It does seem pretty good.
Yeah, I love this Buster. And as for Wheel Gator, especially with his weakness weapon, he's a pretty simple fight. What you do, he'll go into the water and launch one of those spin wheels, and then if you're on the wall, he'll launch a second one and then just emerge like that and try to get you. But if you're in the water after the first spin wheel, he'll catch you in his claws and do 1 damage per hit. But he'll only do the 1 damage if you mash your buttons. So basically all you have to do is charge up your strike chains and do 5 damage a pop, and you just straight overpower him. Barely any skill at all.
Actually, the arena here is impressive. I like the water. I'm not sure how they pull it off.
Maybe with the graphics chip.
Yeah, I just haven't seen anything like it.
Yeah. And if you're really good, there's a 3-frame window where you can stun lock him before he goes into the water, whereas invincibility frames run out, but that's a speedrun strat, so don't worry too much about that. And yeah, it is impressive. That CX4 chip is doing work, huh?
Yeah.
Anyways, if you're just Buster dueling him, he's still not really all that hard. It's just you have that spin wheel attack, which you can basically dodge just by standing in a specific spot. And then there's another thing where he sort of flashes blue and fires some blasts out of his mouth, like this. That makes him immune to the level 1 and 2 shots, but full charge shots will still get him. So you'll still rack up like 5 damage a pop every time. It's really good.
It's a little strange how even in the boss arena, the game can still struggle when there are too many strikes.
Indeed. Mega Man X is just too strong for this poor console.
Yeah, pretty much.
By the way, he has a ramming attack that he also does when he comes out of the water if he's below half HP, but we didn't get to see it because I just killed him that fast. Sorry about that.
Right.
Alright, so one thing I always kind of liked about these villains, especially in the Japanese version, look how agile freaks out.
Right, so these were the shadowy figures that you were talking about.
Yeah, and they actually take you seriously, unlike most sequels where the villains are always really confident about their ability to beat you. It's kind of refreshing, actually.
Yeah, typically, you have villains that are like, you know, the typical stereotype where we have, you know, they have mustaches and like top hats and stuff. I'm glad they didn't do that here.
Yeah. Also, if you notice, Sajas almost called us Mega Man and not X. That's actually really important because in every other instance in the entire series, this guy is always called X. It's only his predecessor that was called Mega Man. So the fact that Sajas had to correct himself and change it to X is really important for a plot point later on in the game, as is the fact that he was able to repair Zero. Like, he doesn't have his personality because we have the control chip, but he was able to repair his body, and that's not something that anyone else in the series can do apart from Dr. Light. We'll talk more about that later, but for now, let's talk about the X-Hunters themselves. You see those Maverick symbols over the map locations?
What about them?
Well, now that we've beaten our second Maverick, we can get into optional boss fights with the X-Hunters. And for our prize, we will get Zero's head, body, or legs. The idea being that it's a bet. If we win, we get his parts. If we lose, they get the control chip because they're trying to resurrect him. Of course, we don't want to fight them right now, because if you go through a stage without beating them, they will actually leave forever, so Zero's parts are permanently missable. So I want to delay these guys for the sake of the walkthrough until the 6th Maverick, where we start having no choice but to fight them. I want the dash boots from Overdrive Ostrich, so I cycled them to different location by going into a stage I'd already cleared. and then exiting, because they will never go into stages that you've already cleared, so you can kinda manipulate them that way.
Right. Well, personally, I don't like it when content can be missed forever in a playthrough of a game. But I think that's like, I don't know, it doesn't seem very good. It doesn't feel good.
Indeed. By the way, did you see how that spin wheel did 25 damage a pop?
Yeah, that seemed pretty strong.
That's the power of the industrial weapons, baby. And Strike Chain tends to be pretty good as well, because there do tend to be long stretches of levels where they're weak to the utility weapons. Elemental weapons don't tend to be so great, because the enemies weak to them tend to be fairly weak anyway, and easily dispatched by your X-Buster. But enough about that. In any case, we need to ride that motorcycle over the ramps in order to get a heart tank, or we need Speed Burner, which we don't have yet. So, it's kind of janky the way this is set up. In order to clear the gap, you need a certain amount of lag in the game. And to do that, you need at least 3 shots on-screen as you're going through that part. I would recommend just mashing the shoot button to make it a bit easier. Not totally consistent, but mostly consistent. Just don't try to charge in there with no shots at all, because without lag, you will most definitely not clear that jump.
That is very bizarre, actually.
It is.
Wait, so you're telling me that that was intended? Because that's very strange.
I don't know what else it could have been, to be honest. I mean, what else could it be?
I have no idea. Can you not cross the gap ever if there's no lag?
Well, actually you do get the Speed Burner. If you charge it up with your Arm Buster, it allows you to do a really long horizontal dash, but even then, there are spikes there, so you're guaranteed to die when you collect it.
It's very strange. Maybe they didn't notice, I don't know, but the lag is very noticeable, so can't really make sense of it.
Anyways, this is yet another cool arena, because you can actually scroll the guy off screen, and when you do, he goes into the foreground and tries to ground pound you that way. I like the arenas in this game. I feel like they got really creative with the fights here.
Well, it's certainly unique.
Although it does also make them pretty easy to cheese, so there's that.
Yeah, I mean, like, he would have to be glued to you so you can scroll him off screen, so...
Yeah. Of course, you could also overpower him with dash shots like we did Wire Sponge. It's not like he's that hard. It's just, you make this even easier. The one thing that's tricky, though, is that attack, what I like to call the Rain Slash. Those actually home in on you until the moment that they fly off screen, so you actually kind of want to carefully time your movements so you go left or right after the shots go off screen. Like, it doesn't look like I'm doing anything special, but if you notice, I'm pausing very slightly before moving left or right. Did you notice that?
Yeah, and I mean, even though, like, in spite of that, this seemed pretty easy.
I mean, it is. Like I said, you can overpower him, but you can make it even easier by knowing that about the Rain Slash. Anyways, that would be all for this episode today. Hope you all enjoyed, and see y'all in part 3. Have a nice day, everyone, and God bless you.
It was a pleasant episode. I'll catch you all later.
Bye!